Hi everyone, and welcome back to my No Buy Year. Today, I literally can't even. Now, I realize I might be getting myself completely out of my depth with today's video, but I stumbled upon some philosophy by Immanuel Kant, and I thought it actually helped me understand some of the reasons why I view some of the behaviors of some influencers. How many times have I said some in that sentence? Why I view some of these behaviors as problematic. And let me get into it. Once again, this is another idea experiment where I'm very curious and interested to hear what my viewers and commenters might be thinking about this, because I don't doubt that there are many of you out there who are actually much more qualified than I am to speak on these topics and have a much better understanding of this kind of philosophy. I did take a philosophy course in college called Achievement and the Meaning of Life, and I failed. I failed it because I did not take the final, because I was away too much for musical auditions, and they did not let me exempt that time like the music school did, which was where I was doing my degree, and therefore I got a non-attending score and decided not to bother taking the final. So there we go, I failed Achievement and the Meaning of Life, but I have been interested in philosophy, although I lack any of the language to explain it and any of the knowledge to support my thinking and ideas. I do aim to read more about that as time allows, but that's where I'm at with it right now. And if I do ever get around to filming my book collection, you'll see all these examples of philosophy books that I have yet to read. So just so I don't get this skewed, I'm gonna read kind of this definition of an introduction to ethics from a source online in the BBC. Again, I'm not even sure if that's a reputable source for this kind of thing. Reputable, but there we go. So the philosopher Immanuel Kant said that rational human beings should be treated as an end in themselves and not as a means to something else. The fact that we are human has value in itself. Now, when I came across this tidbit, it struck me that this is why some of the influencing content online bothers me so much, because it would appear that the primary motive for the influencing sometimes presents as treating their viewers as a means to an end and not as an end in themselves. Let me break this down a little bit before you might jump on me for this. I would argue that there are extremely obvious examples, and perhaps that's a patronizing way to say it. I would argue that there are examples that kind of display this in a factual way, where influencers are not disclosing the fact that they're partnered with brands or that they've been paid to promote a product, or even if they've received something for free as PR. I do think that when these instances occur, it is a clear example of influencers using their viewers, their community, their audience, as a means rather than an end to themselves. Because in a way, they are lying by omission. They are treating their audiences as if they don't deserve the right to that information and would rather kind of withhold it from their viewers by not sharing that this is sponsored content, this is an ad, this is paid, this is PR. If the influencer, by contrast, were thinking more about their viewers as an end in themselves, they would be honest about it and say, if this is going to benefit your life, I have been paid to talk about this. You might be interested in this. I will receive a kickback if you click on the affiliate links. If you buy something from the affiliate links, I receive this for free as PR. Therefore, my review might be reflective of that. But we don't often see these disclaimers on the biggest product influencing channels. Sometimes we do. Sometimes there are responsible creators out there. These are not the ones I'm talking about in this example. And I've seen further exploration on this idea in that treating humans as an end is okay as long as there's kind of reciprocity. Is that the right way to pronounce that? As long as it's reciprocal. For example, in a relationship, if your partner makes you happy, they're kind of a means to the end of you being happy, but you also are concerned with their happiness. So therefore, it's kind of a cycle where it goes both ways. And therefore, receiving the end of your happiness from your partner is therefore okay, because you also do the same for them, and your priority also involves that end for them. The other angle of this is that humans have intrinsic value just for being a human, and therefore they have the right to the respect of being treated in the way that a human should be treated. It's almost like the golden rule comes back, where treat others as you wish to be treated, and the way that I like to extend that further is to treat others as they wish to be treated. So if they have different values and priorities than you, it is optimal if you can find out what those are and treat those people the way they would prefer to be treated rather than the way you want to be treated, if those things don't align. Again, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not qualified in this field. I'm not a professional. So this is just my meandering exploration of these ideas. And I might have it wrong. But it just struck me when I discovered this idea that influencers make a kind of moral decision, a kind of decision of ethics about whether to treat their audience as a means, as mere means, or as an end in themselves. Now, I have recently encountered a personal example of this, where a brand reached out to me, a brand that I have used before, that I have even featured on this channel in the video of everything I was influenced to buy. I'm not going to reveal the brand, and there was so many things in that video that I'm not sure you will guess what it was. But again, I don't want to give attention to brand names in this context especially. But I was going through the thought exercise. I've already decided, especially during this no-buy year, that there will not be any product features or sponsorships on this channel, because that would go against the very nature of a no-buy year, where part of the point is to not bring in new things. This doesn't necessarily preclude me from doing it after the no-buy year challenge is over, but in all likelihood, products are always going to be a nebulous category for this channel. And the fact remains that while I appreciate any extra income that this sharing of my journey has afforded me, it is not my primary career goal in life at this point. It is not my primary source of sustenance. While I do acknowledge that perhaps my attitudes will shift towards the value of the time that I put into this endeavor of making and sharing videos, and I'm not opposed to having avenues of compensation for the time that I put in, it gets a little hairy when considering the idea of accepting sponsorships for promoting products to my viewers when I don't get to interact directly in real time with the people that would be seeing my product sponsorships. I don't get to know your situation beyond what can be shared in a YouTube comment section, or perhaps even in a memberships community if that's where this channel has gone. So anyway, I received a brand offer from a brand that I've actually used, and you could say that I enjoyed in a practical sense, and I did the thought exercise of what if I were to take a sponsorship like this. Now, I wasn't reaching out trying to do details with the brand or anything like that. I wasn't taking it that literally. So perhaps things would look different if I had offers on the table and hard numbers to share about what kind of money these things might come with. I still don't know that information. But just doing the thought exercise of what if I were to be paid to talk about a product that I have used and recommended, kind of, without being paid, what would my motivations be for doing that? Would there be any motivations beyond the money? And even in a product that I like and would recommend to a friend in real life if I knew that they needed it, is it ethical, in my opinion, to share that on a larger scale where I don't have the opportunity of interacting with the audience? Would it be a net positive or a net negative result for my integrity and my mission in sharing content online? And I admit that I stole that terminology from my friend Shauna Raipari. She talks about having a net positive or net negative impact, so I don't take credit for that. Go check her out if you somehow haven't already. And I concluded that at this time, I don't think I could say that taking a sponsorship, accepting PR, doing those kinds of influencer things would have a net positive result on my own sense of integrity and my mission in sharing my development on this channel, a person's reflections on not buying stuff. And this is just beyond the hypocrisy of having stuff sent to you when you're in a period of not buying stuff for yourself, not acquiring new things. And I guess in a way, it's like I got a taste of the influencer possibility, right? Like the prospects of being paid to be sent stuff and then talk about it, which is something that can be organically done, right? I can talk about a product. I have talked about products on this channel without being paid for it. What changes as soon as you do get paid? Well, the obvious thing is that you now have that as a motive for what you're doing. The extra financial motive, the compensation, the means to an end is what this brought up for me, right? It's using my platform, my audience, my community that has gathered around these ideas as a means to an end for myself. And that gave me the clarity. Like I said, not that I was considering this in a real legitimate way, but it gave me the clarity in how I view influencing as a whole and the things to consider when I'm consuming that kind of content. And once again, it's not a condemning of influencers who do make this their job, their career, their way of earning money, and therefore they have to use their audience as a means to an end. Again, that clarification from Kant's philosophy is that using people as a means to an end is okay as long as it's reciprocal in nature, or as long as the consideration of humans as an end is still part of the equation. It's just not using humans as mere means to an end. So if somebody considers their sponsorships very carefully and can see real use value and real help and discloses things in a responsible, open, transparent way where there's no lies or no omissions of truth, and if the product in question or the service in question has potential to deliver true value to the community that has gathered around a creator, then perhaps it can be okay. I guess the bottom line for me today is that this is the new framework, or my discovered framework. It's actually a very old framework, right? Kant was alive many years ago. I was going to look up what his life dates were, how many years ago, but my devices have decided to freeze, so I might put that in editing. Anyway, so it's an old framework that can be applied to modern technology, modern online communities, to kind of evaluate the type of influence that we're consuming and we're seeing. Are we being treated with respect and dignity as humans, as fellow humans? Or do we feel like we're being disrespected in the delivery of some of these, for lack of a better term, sales pitches in the pursuit of this person's career? And for myself, I don't want to be disrespected in that way anymore, and I don't want to disrespect others in that way ever. And in the landscape of online communities, it falls to myself to not allow myself to be disrespected in that way by choosing not to consume the content that is not transparent about their sponsorships, PR, and ads. Not consume the content where it does feel like the creator is more concerned about their own opportunities than thinking about the needs of their audience and why their audience has come to watch them in the first place. And again, that idea of considering those first 1,000 followers, those first 100 followers, those first 10 followers who came to you for your ideas and your presence and your contribution to the platform. What would they want to see? Or even if it's not a numbers thing, the people who constantly come and spend their time with you, interact with your thoughts. What have they come to expect of you as a person? And that's not to say that you can't evolve in your ideas and your content that you share, but you can do it in a way that would be authentic to these real people on the other side. Those of you to whom I'm talking now, I don't mean to be reductive by saying these real people on the other side when I realize that you are the real people on the other side. I am the person on this side. We are all humans. We're real, and we all deserve respect, not to be treated as a mere means to an end. And with the content that does appear to be doing that now, I literally can't even anymore. I'm so sorry, I couldn't resist. With that, I will say bye for now, and I will see you in the next one. You'll have to let me know if this was totally cringe, and for those of you with more experience in the realm of philosophy, whether I should ever try to do this again and share my organic discoveries in this realm, or whether I should truly just leave it to the professionals. I hope I framed it in such a way that I've not offended anybody out there with my uneducated musings.